Of course, we will start this topic with introduction. In introduction, I will discuss how the Earth acquired the magnetic property of the Earth. So this study, you can say the study of magnetic property of the Earth is known as geomagnetism. Geomagnetism. So introduction I will discuss, and then I will also discuss the historical backdrop, so historical background, how the study begins to understand the magnetic properties of the Earth. So I will also discuss the historical background. Then I will discuss about the genesis, how the magnetic property acquired by the Earth. So the idea how to generate the magnetic, what are the processes which led to the genesis of the magnetic property within the Earth, I will discuss. So genesis, and after genesis I will discuss some basic properties and study of Earth's magnetism. I will also discuss the Earth magnetism. Okay. Now then I will discuss the significance. Okay, significance. Further, I will discuss an associated topic. What you observe that the magnetic property of the Earth fixed in the rocks. When you take the rock sample, you find that the rocks having the magnetic property. So the Earth's magnetic property fixed in the rocks. That study is known as Paleomagnetism or rock magnetism. So I will also discuss the concept of Paleomagnetism or the rock magnetism. And the significance of it. So once you cover this topic holistically, then there is a pretty chances that you get almost all the question in UPSC mains. Okay. So this will be the structure in the geomagnetism. In introduction, I will discuss about the basic concepts of geomagnetism. Then I will also discuss the historical background, how this idea generate, what are the scientists, those who contribute in these ideas, when the study begins, how it attract the geophysicists towards this field. Okay. Then I will discuss how the earth acquire the property of the magnet, how it behave like a magnet, and whether earth behave like the bar magnet or other magnets. Okay. Then I will discuss, as I have said, the other properties. I will discuss here the magnetic property and associated basic study of the Earth's magnetism, and then I will discuss the significance, and as I have said, the Earth's magnetism or the Earth's magnetic property is fixed in the rock, and when we started studying the rock's magnetic property, we called it paleomagnetism or rock magnetism. So you have to understand here this concept, because it may be asked as a short notes in compulsory as a compulsory question in the paper 1 section A. Okay. So further I will also discuss the significance of paleomagnetism. So now let's start our discussion with the introductory part. So as I have said that when you look at the earth behave like a magnet, and this study of the earth's magnetism is known as geomagnetism. Here the geo means the geoid or the earth, and magnetism reveals the magnetic property. So the earth's the study of the earth's magnetic property is known as geomagnetism. Now what is the significance, why it is in the geography syllabus, what is the significance or importance of the study of the earth magnetism, you have to understand. Once you look at a phenomena which is going on, atmospheric phenomena which is going on along the polar regions in the Arctic belt and in Antarctic belt, once you look at, okay, then that phenomena is known as the aurora australis and aurora borealis. Once you learn about that, that phenomena is under the influence of the magnetic property of the earth. Okay, so further I will discuss why it happens. Then once you understand, when you learn the feature of the sun, I had already discussed during the study of the origin of earth and universe, how the this stars originated and what is the property of stars. As you know that in the core of the stars the fusion reaction is going on, and as a result of the fusion reaction, huge amount of energy which creates there due to the nuclear fusion. When you look at the star, this sun, in the sun core, what is going on? The fusion, nuclear fusion reaction, where the lighter nuclei of the hydrogen fuse and form the heliums, the heavier nuclei, and as a result of that fusion, huge amount of energy liberated or released. Okay. So all the stars having their own light and heat, and when you look at the core temperature, it is very high as compared to the surface. Okay. Now when you look at, or the corona, and what we observed that from the sun the solar flares releases, solar storms releases. If the earth having no magnetic properties, अगर earth के पास ये magnetic property नहीं होता, earth won't behave like a magnet. So what happened in that situation? This magnetic property of the earth, what it led to? When the solar flares release from the sun, it blocked it. The magnetic property of this, the earth which is behave like a magnet, this magnet, what? it counterbalance this solar flare or the solar storms and protect the atmosphere of the earth. It protect the atmosphere of the earth. Otherwise, if the earth won't behave like a magnet and if there is no magnetic field around the earth, तो ये मैग्नेटिक फोर्स नहीं करता और सोलर स्टॉर्म्स आते और हमारे एटमॉस्फेयर को स्किप कर जाते, और एटमॉस्फेयर स्किप कर जाता तो ऑक्सीजन भी नहीं होता एंड देयर इज नो चांसेस ऑफ सर्वाइवल ऑफ एनी ऑर्गेनिज्म ओवर द प्लैनेट अर्थ. Getting my point? So there is a significance of this geomagnetism. Why we are learning? Because for the survival of the life, this property is very much required, okay, and very much significant. Apart from that, when you look at what is the another, the sun radiations. When you look at the sun radiations, and when you pass the lights from the prism, then what happened? The light diffracted into different colors. We called it a spectrum of light, and we find the different bands of light. And out of that, one radiation is ultraviolet radiation, which is very harmful radiation. And the ultraviolet radiations get trapped by the ozone layer. And if the solar storms is strong and there is no magnetic fields around the earth, then these storms also skip the ozone layer. And what happened? The ultraviolet radiation reached the earth without any hindrance and disturbances, and it affects the life of the people. So it blocked the magnetic property of the earth, blocked the ultraviolet radiations also at a certain extent. Because how it blocks? Because as a result of that magnetic field, ozone layer is around the earth, okay. Now, due to different conditions, the ozone is also depleting, and the major factor behind that is the human being, because we release certain substances having halogen groups, and due to that halogen, the ozone depletion is going on. Okay, that is another issues. Okay, that is the anthropogenic cause. I am talking about the natural causes here. Okay, apart from that, when you look at the pattern of the migration by the birds or the fishes or another organism, how the birds reach from one place to another, because they have no any GPS or navigation system or tracks and anything else like the human being. They have no compass. ऐसा भी नहीं है वो कंपास लेके चल रहे हैं, ऐसे पेड़ पे बैठा टहनी पे बोला तो किधर जा रहा है, नॉर्थ साउथ, फिर उसके बाद वो पहुंच गए. जैसा द ह्यूमन बींग्स अर्लियर यूज द कंपास for the navigation, and today we are using the navigation systems, different navigation system we have by the satellites tracking, and we reach the positions. But how the birds able to migrate? For example, when you look at the cuckoos, कोयल को देखो, from Africa it comes to India and again return back to the Africa, okay. So in spring the cuckoos come to the India, that is the migratory birds. When you look at the Siberian cranes, which reached in India in the winter season to avoid the harsh climate of Siberia. तो ये भरतपुर bird sanctuary, Agra and nearby area, the Siberian cranes reach every year in the winter season. How it possible? How the Arctic tern, a bird which covers almost 25,000 kilometer distance and move from Arctic to the Antarctica and again return back from Antarctica to the Arctic. Okay, so it crosses the entire earth from one pole to another and return back from pole to pole. So how it happens? It happens only due to the magnetic behaviors of the earth, because the birds, when the study is going on, in the brain of the birds, what is there? There is a magnet like behavior. So they tracks the magnetism, the magnetic property of the earth, and accordingly they fly and reach their destinations. So the magnetic property of the earth also helps the birds for the navigation, and the fishes, those who are catadromous, anadromous or amphidromous. Some fishes migrate from the sea to the fresh water, some fishes migrate from fresh water to the sea, some fishes migrate into the fresh water from one region to another, some fishes migrate within the marine water from one region to another. So there are different kind of migrations which we find in fishes, and on that migration, there are various type of migration. We called it catadromous, anadromous, amphidromous, potamodromous. So what we observed that this migratory behavior, how it happens, how the fishes reach from one place to another, due to the magnetic behavior, and that's why I am going to discuss here this property of the earth magnetism, which we call geomagnetism. So slight mathematics and physics is required to understand this topic, but don't worry, I will try to make it simplified. No need to understand a very technical aspect of the magnetism. So let's just start understanding this topic now. I had already give you the idea why we are going to learn. I had already discussed the significance. Okay, now let's understand what I have written here in introduction, that the study of the earth magnetic field, I had already discussed that it is known as geomagnetism. So geo means the earth and magnetism. So here we are learning the magnetic property of the earth. Okay, now we are using this magnetic property since long, because the earth magnetic field, this field, okay, causes the compass needle to align north and south direction. This is, I am talking about the geographical north and geographical south. Okay, अभी मैग्नेट्स कैसे बिहेव करते हैं और ये मैग्नेटिक लाइंस ऑफ फोर्सेस कैसे मूव करते हैं, उसके कारण ये अलाइनमेंट क्रिएट होता है. सो बेसिकली हमें क्या दिखाई देता है कि व्हेन यू टेक द कंपास अलाइंड in the north-south directions. Okay, I am talking about geographical north and geographical south, and why it occurred due to the magnetic property of the earth. This is the evidences that earth behave like a magnet. When you took the compass aligned in a north-south direction, what it shows that earth behave like a magnet, and we are using this. We are using since long this compass needle for navigation basically. So the human being also use this property since long. Now when you look at the earth properties as a magnet, earth behave like a dipolar magnet. What is the dipolar magnet? When you look at the bar magnet or the magnet which is the rod shaped magnet, then what you observe that so the two poles arises. So this planet Earth, when you look at this planet Earth behave like a bar magnet or the rod shaped magnet. So the two poles arises. Okay, this is known as the north magnetic pole, and this is known as south magnetic pole. So what I have written here, the earth behave like what? The bar magnet. And polarity develop. And how many poles develop? Two. That's why we use the term dipolar. Now, what you observe that over here, from this, once you take the magnet, and every magnets having their magnetic field depend on the strength of that magnet, which is known as magnetic strength, and it creates the magnetic field. And once you pick any object, near to this magnetic field, it was attracted by this magnet. Okay. So what it shows that when this matter or objects you placed in the magnetic field of this magnet, then it attracted. When it beyond the magnetic field of this magnet, it won't attracted by this magnet. Okay. So the earth, we have like a huge bar magnet. Now once you look at this what it is, this is the lines of force. The earth, if this is the earth, here what you find at the bar shaped structure, this the earth is behave like a bar magnet. Why? How we can say? Because once you look at the compass always aligned in the north-south direction. What it shows, the alignment of north-south direction shows that the earth behave like a bar magnet. Now when you look at these lines are known as what? The lines of forces, the magnetic lines of forces. And this magnetic lines of forces, where it is descend down, here it is entering, and here it is leaving. When you look at, and when you look at the expansion of these lines of forces, under which there is a magnetic field. So if you put the object within this magnetic field, the object attracted towards this magnet. Okay. So what determine the magnetic field? This magnetic lines of force, which creates a magnetosphere. Okay. So from this what happened here, when you look at all the lines of force converge here, converge at this point, converge at this point and emerge from here. Emerge from here when you look at. So okay. So this magnetic lines of force generate what? The magnetic field. It generates the magnetic field. So you should keep in mind that how the earth behave, like the earth always behave like a dipolar magnet, and the earth behave like a bar magnet. And once you look at the lines of force which converge here and emerge from here, it creates the magnetic field around the earth. Now how we can understand this magnetic field? Once you took the compass aligned in the north-south direction, that's why we can say that the earth behave like a bar magnet. Okay. Now again let's see the next property. That's why what I have written here, that earth shows the dipolar magnetism, two poles, means it has the magnetic north and magnetic south pole. So when we talk about the earth, planet earth, try to understand what it gives us the idea. When we talk about the planet earth, this planet earth having two poles, this planet earth having two poles, how we can determine the poles? Through which the axis passes. Say if you look at this globe, from here the axis cross, and along that axis the earth is what? Rotating. Okay. Now when the axis pass through the center of the earth and emerge from here, this region is known as north pole and this region is known as south pole. This is the geographical pole. So earth having also the polarity, and along this axis, this is known as north geographical pole. North geographical pole, and here there is a south geographical pole. South geographical pole. Now apart from that, this is the Earth's polarity, okay, along the axis cross through this planet Earth, and along this axis the Earth is rotating on its axis continuously and also revolving around the sun. Now when you look at this axis creates two poles, one the north geographical pole, another is the south geographical pole. Now what I have said here, that the Earth also behave like a magnet, and how the Earth behave like a magnet, once you look at the Earth behave like a dipolar magnet. Okay, the Earth behave like a, now this magnets having also two poles, which is not similar to the geographical pole. Try to understand. That is known as this pole of this Earth's magnetism is known as magnetic pole. It is known as north magnetic pole, and it is known as south magnetic pole. So don't get confused with the geographical pole of the Earth to the magnetic pole. Why this magnetic pole emerged? Due to the line of forces. Here the lines of forces converge. If I will take another color, here the lines of forces converge, and from here the lines of forces emerge, okay, and it creates the polarity. It's create the polarity, and Earth behave like a bar magnet having two poles. So this pole is different than this pole. Getting my point? The magnetic pole is different. Magnetic pole means when the Earth's properties, when you look at, and Earth behave like a bar magnet, this bar magnet having two poles. And when we look at the planet Earth's axis is crosses through the center of the Earth, and then it creates the two poles. That pole is known as geographical pole. So what I have written here, when you look at, these poles are not fixed. When we talk about magnetic pole, what we find that the magnetic pole shift or reverse with the time. Later I will discuss another concept which is associated with that. We called it polar wandering. That topic is also mentioned in UPSC syllabus. Pole wandered, pole shift with the time. And interestingly, what we find that? We find what? Geomagnetic reversal, pole reverse. आज जो तुम्हें नॉर्थ दिख रहा है ना पोल, वो कल साउथ में आ जाएगा, और जो आज साउथ पोल दिख रहा है ना साउथ मैग्नेटिक, वो कल नॉर्थ बन जाएगा. सो हम क्या देखते हैं, पोलैरिटी अगर मैग्नेट की देखोगे तो मैग्नेट की पोलैरिटी फिक्स्ड नहीं होती. कैसे पता लगेगा इसके बारे में? रॉक स्टडी से पता लगेगा. Paleomagnetism gives us idea, okay, कि the polarity change with the time. Polarity shifted, and later I will discuss the concept of polar wandering, so don't worry, I will give you the evidences. So pole shifted, and sometimes the pole completely reverse, the magnetic pole completely reverse. Have you ever heard about the shifting of the geographical pole? No. Geographical pole change नहीं होंगे. अर्थ की एक्सिस यही है, अर्थ टिल्टेड है अपने एक्सिस के ऊपर, और यही नॉर्थ जियोग्राफिकल पोल होगा, यही साउथ. बट जो मैग्नेटिक बिहेवियर है अर्थ का वो चेंज होता है. और चेंज क्यों होता है उसके पीछे रीज़न है. एक फेज ऐसा आता है कि जब अर्थ की मैग्नेटिक जो पावर है वो बढ़ जाती है, और एक ऐसा फेज आता है जब अर्थ की जो मैग्नेटिक पावर है वो रिड्यूस हो जाती है। हम उसे कहते हैं द फेज ऑफ वैक्सिंग एंड द फेज ऑफ वैनिंग। व्हाट द टर्म वी यूज, द फेज ऑफ वैक्सिंग एंड द फेज ऑफ वैनिंग। अब देखो अर्थ का जो वैक्सिंग और वैनिंग फेज है ये किस बात पे डिपेंड करता है, ये डिपेंड करता है सन के स्टेजेस के ऊपर। सन में भी चेंजेज होते हैं। सन से मैंने कहा सन इज ए स्टार एंड दिस स्टार प्रोड्यूस ह्यूज अमाउंट ऑफ एनर्जी। ओके, अब तुमने लॉग जलाया होगा, लकड़ियां अभी विंटर्स में लोग जलाते हैं, या फिर कहीं जाओ जहाँ पे तंदूर जल रहा होगा, वहाँ से हीट वेव्स आपको फील होते हैं। तो सन में जितना एनर्जी क्रिएट हो रहा है वो वहाँ से हीट वेव्स निकलता है। वी कॉल्ड इट सोलर स्टॉर्म्स। सो व्हाट हैपन, सन का भी वैक्सिंग स्टेज आता है, सन के पावर भी बढ़ते हैं और सन के पावर रिड्यूस होते हैं। व्हेन द सन वैक्सिंग फेज इज गोइंग ऑन, द अर्थ वैनिंग फेज इज गोइंग ऑन। अर्थ की जो मैग्नेटिक प्रॉपर्टी है वो वीक हो जाती है, और जब सन का वैनिंग स्टेज आता है तो अर्थ का जो है वो वैक्सिंग स्टेज आता है। अर्थ की जो मैग्नेटिक प्रॉपर्टीज़ है वो स्ट्रांग हो जाती है, स्ट्रेंथन हो जाती है। अभी क्या होता है, इसी वैक्सिंग और वैनिंग फेज में क्या होता है, जियोमैग्नेटिक रिवर्सल हो जाते हैं, पोल बदल जाते हैं। आज जो तुम मैग्नेटिक पोल देख रहे हो ये नॉर्थ, ये साउथ चला जाएगा, और साउथ जो है वो नॉर्थ चला आएगा। सो कंप्लीट रिवर्सल ऑफ मैग्नेटिज्म होता है। कैसे हमें पता लगेगा इसके बारे में? इसके बारे में सबसे पहला एविडेंसेस अगर हम देखें लार्ज स्केल पर, सी फ्लोर स्प्रेडिंग से मिलता है। हैरी हैस का आइडिया था कि सी फ्लोर स्प्रेड करता है। फर्दर आई विल डिस्कस, दैट्स व्हाई आई एम डिस्कसिंग राइट नाउ जियोमैग्नेटिज्म बिफोर द सी फ्लोर स्प्रेडिंग आइडिया, because once you understand this property you must get that idea also, because सी फ्लोर स्प्रेडिंग के बारे में आइडिया उनको कब लगा, जब उन्होंने पेलियोमैग्नेटिज्म स्टडी किया। उन्होंने अर्थ की मैग्नेटिक बिहेवियर को स्टडी किया, जियोमैग्नेटिज्म, और उन्होंने रॉक्स के अंदर जो मैग्नेटिक प्रॉपर्टी फिक्स हो जाती है अर्थ की, जिसे पेलियोमैग्नेटिज्म कहते हैं, उसको स्टडी किया। तब उन्हें आइडिया लगा अच्छा यहाँ सी का फ्लोर स्प्रेड कर रहा है। सो दैट्स वाई वी आर लर्निंग दिस टॉपिक, because that gives you idea further sea floor spreading, continental drift, और जब प्लेट टेक्टोनिक्स पढ़ोगे यहाँ सभी जगह एविडेंसेस तुम्हें मिलेंगे, और इसी के आधार पर हम आगे एविडेंसेस ढूंढ पाएंगे कि अच्छा ये ऐसा हो रहा है। ओके, सो हियर व्हाट आई हैव डिस्कस्ड दैट, don't get confused when we talk about geographical pole, we are talking about the earth's pole, earth's polarity. okay, जहाँ से एक्सिस क्रॉस कर रहा है, ये नॉर्थ एंड साउथ, एंड मैग्नेटिक पोल इज डिफरेंट। ओके, नाउ मैप के ऊपर मैं अभी दिखाऊंगा अभी। कैन एनीवन टेल मी वेयर द राइट नाउ द नॉर्थ मैग्नेटिक पोल लाइज एंड द साउथ मैग्नेटिक पोल लाइज? आप बताएंगे मुझे? हाँ, कहाँ आइलैंड है? Queen Elizabeth Island. Where it lies? In which country? Canada. Okay. So when you move into the Arctic region, when you look at the map, what you find that there are various island which is there in Arctic, and one among them is Queen Elizabeth. And near this Queen Elizabeth Island, what is the North Magnetic Pole lies. So you can mark there this North Magnetic Pole, and where the South Magnetic Pole lies. Where? Pardon? Yes. So here when you look at the atlas, you get the idea where the north magnetic and where the south magnetic at present lies. And as I have said, it's shifted with time. So ये shift भी करेंगे, but एक दो दिन में shift नहीं होते. It will take thousands of years to shift that. Okay, so we will also learn the trends to shifting of that and the migration of or the reversal of the magnetism. So what I have said that these poles are not fixed. These poles means the magnetic polarity of the earth is not fixed. It changes with the time. Why it changes? Because earth crosses through the waxing and the waning stages. Okay, and when the earth crosses through the waxing and waning stages, the polarity reverse, the polarity change, the polarity shift. Okay, तो causes उसका क्या है कि waxing और waning phases से cross करते हैं. Okay, and this waxing and waning phases of the earth depend on the waxing and waning phases of the sun. मैंने बताया sun का जब waxing stage आएगा, sun की जो strength बढ़ेगी तो क्या होगा, earth waning stage में आएगा. Okay, so this is the condition. और फिर मैंने यहाँ लिखा the axis of rotation of the geographical pole, while the axis of magnetism is the magnetic pole. तो जहाँ से अर्थ की एक्सिस पास हो रही है वो जियोग्राफिकल पोल डिमार्केट करता है, और जहाँ से मैग्नेट की पोलैरिटी है, ठीक है ना, उसे हम कहते हैं मैग्नेटिक एक्सिस इज नोन एज व्हाट, द मैग्नेटिक पोल्स. सो फर्दर आई विल डिस्कस. ओके, नाउ लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड द नेक्स्ट. Further, what I have written here, the existence and the characteristics of the field essentially demand, field means the magnetic field, essentially demand that the fluid outer core be made of electrically conducting material and that convecting in such a way as to maintain the self-sustaining dynamo. यहाँ जो वन सेंटेंस लिखा है वो समझ नहीं आएगा, लेकिन मैं अभी ये बताने वाला हूँ आगे कि आखिर अर्थ ने ये अपनी मैग्नेटिक प्रॉपर्टी एक्वायर कैसे की. अर्थ एक डायनेमो की तरह बिहेव करता है. डायनेमो किसे कहते हैं, आपने देखा होगा डायनेमो में हम क्या करते हैं, द मैकेनिकल एनर्जी कन्वर्टेड इनटू इलेक्ट्रिकल एनर्जी. अर्लियर व्हेन द पीपल राइड द बाइसाइकिल, ओके, the bulb lit it in the night due to the dynamo. When he started riding the bicycle and he paddled, the person paddled, so mechanical energy converted into the electrical one and the bulb lighted. So bulb में lightning कैसे होती थी, आप पैडल जितना चलाओगे मैकेनिकल एनर्जी कन्वर्ट होगी. ये डायनेमो का प्रिंसिपल है. ओके, ड्यू टू रोटेशन ऑफ डायनेमो. So the earth behave like a dynamo, and as a result of this dynamo effect, the earth acquire the geomagnetic property. अब ये कैसे पॉसिबल है कि अर्थ डायनेमो की तरह बिहेव करता है, वो भी सेल्फ सस्टेनिंग डायनेमो. फर्दर आई विल डिस्कस दिस प्रॉपर्टी इन जेनेसिस. डिटेल में अभी डिस्कस करूँगा, डोंट वरी. सो ये आपके ऑब्जेक्टिव्स एग्जाम्स के लिए फॉर योर स्क्रीनिंग पेपर कि why the earth acquire the property of a magnet, because the earth behave like a self-sustaining dynamo. Okay, now what happens further I will discuss. Now, a study of the field as it is recorded in the rocks. What I have said that when you study the rocks also behave like a magnet. This property of the rocks is known as paleomagnetism. When we started study the rocks magnetism, then it is known as paleomagnetism. When we started studying the entire earth magnetism, then it is known as geomagnetism. So you have to create differences in your mind when you are using the word geomagnetism and paleomagnetism. When we will describe the paleomagnetism properties, then I will discuss here the properties of the rocks, how the rocks acquire the magnetic property. Okay, and overall when we are studying the earth as a magnet, then we called it geomagnetism. So Now, why we are learning? Because what I have said, that it gives us the idea of the seafloor spreading. It gives us idea about the movement of the continent and the lithosphere. So based on the study of the geomagnetism, based on that evidences, we can come to the idea of this seafloor spreading. We come to the idea of the continental drift theories and the plate tectonics theories. So this modern theories, this theories has been derived by the different geographer, geophysicists and geologists. Okay. Why? Because we have certain evidences based on the idea of geomagnetism. So this geomagnetism helps to understand this concept. Okay. Further I will link when I will discuss. Okay. Now, so I will also discuss here the paleomagnetism, means the rock magnetism. Now, what I have written here, that when the earth originated, the magnetic field was the first property attributed to the earth as a whole, aside from the roundness. मैंने आपको बताया था कि जो celestial objects है, they acquire the round shape. Why? Because of the gravity. Why? Because the sphere or the circle occupy the less space in this less area in this space or in this universe. So basically जितने भी celestial objects है, उनका जो shape आप देखोगे वो spherical shape है. ओके, क्यों spherical shape है? क्योंकि सर्कल और स्फीयर अगर देखेंगे तो वो कम एरिया ऑक्यूपाई करते हैं इस ब्रह्मांड में, इस यूनिवर्स में, इसलिए सेलेस्टियल ऑब्जेक्ट. और क्यों ये सेलेस्टियल ऑब्जेक्ट ने अपना राउंड शेप लिया? मैंने बताया यहाँ की राउंडनेस इज द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट एट्रीब्यूट ऑफ द अर्थ. अर्थ ऑक्यूपाई ऑल्सो द राउंड शेप. ओके, and apart from that, the second most important attribute of the earth is the earth's magnetic property, that is geomagnetism. Okay, so why the earth occupied this spherical shape? Due to gravity. Okay, I had already discussed when I was discussing the origin of universe ki why the celestial object occupied round, because in this space or in this universe all the celestial objects occupy certain places. और सबसे कम स्पेस कब होगा? जब उसका क्या होगा? शेप सर्कुलर होगा. Now here I had discussed the history of the study of geomagnetism. A brief study is required because यहाँ से प्री में कोई भी questions नहीं आएंगे जो मैं स्टडी डिस्कस करूँगा. ये प्योरली मेंस पर्सपेक्टिव से है, टू अंडरस्टैंड द बैकग्राउंड. ओके, सो प्योरली फॉर द मेंस पर्सपेक्टिव. प्री में क्या क्वेश्चन आएंगे? व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन जियोमैग्नेटिज्म एंड पेलियोमैग्नेटिज्म? हाउ द जियोमैग्नेटिज्म acquired by the earth? What principle lies behind that? The principle of dynamo lies behind that, what I have discussed. And few characteristics of a magnetism they may ask in screening paper. बहुत रेयरली स्क्रीनिंग में यूपीएससी ने अभी तक जियोमैग्नेटिज्म से क्वेश्चन पूछा है. उन्होंने सिग्निफिकेंस पे कुछ क्वेश्चंस पूछा है. ऑरोरा ऑस्ट्रेलिस बोरेलिस के ऊपर क्वेश्चंस आ चुके हैं ऑलरेडी, ठीक है ना. वैक्सिंग वैनिंग के ऊपर क्वेश्चन आ चुके हैं स्क्रीनिंग पेपर में. बट चूँकि ये टॉपिक थोड़ा साइंटिफिक है तो इसको कम ही पूछा गया है. बट वी नेवर नो, सरप्राइजिंग एलिमेंट आर देयर इन स्क्रीनिंग पेपर, सो यू मस्ट अंडरस्टैंड. But this discussion, this history is especially for the optional students, those having the geography as optional like you people. So what is here, that William Gilbert, when you look at, was the physician to the Queen Elizabeth I, who published his inference in 1600 about the geomagnetism. सो पहला जो रिटन इन्फेरेंस है, ठीक है ना, जियोमैग्नेटिज्म के बारे में, वो किसके द्वारा दिया गया? विलियम गिलबर्ट के द्वारा दिया गया. कब दिया गया? इन 1600. एंड ही वाज एसोसिएट, ही वाज द फिजिशियन ऑफ द क्वीन एलिजाबेथ I. ओके, सो नाउ फ्रॉम हियर द हिस्ट्री ऑफ द स्टडी ऑफ द अर्थ्स मैग्नेटिज्म starts. We have the evidences, we have a written evidences, first written evidences of 1600. अभी इसके पहले भी 1210 में भी हमारे पास evidences है, बट मैंने उसको कोट नहीं किया यहाँ, ठीक है, बिकॉज वो कंप्लीट written evidences नहीं था, इसलिए मैंने उसे कोट नहीं किया. फिर मैंने यहाँ क्या कोट किया कि द मैग्नेटिक कंपास हैड बीन यूज्ड ओके बिगनिंग विद द चाइनीज सिंस अबाउट द सेकेंड सेंचुरी बीसी। अब देखिए यहाँ पे, जबकि कंपास का यूज जो है चाइनीज कब से कर रहे हैं, सेकेंड सेंचुरी बीसी से। एंड फर्दर वो आइडिया जो उनका था नेविगेशन का, उसको फर्दर इंटायर वर्ल्ड ने यूज किया। बट द चाइनीज वर फर्स्ट दोज हु स्टार्टेड यूजिंग फॉर देयर नेविगेशन द कंपास। Means this idea how they generated based on the geomagnetic property of the earth. Okay, so earth's magnetic property is there, so finds its way to the Europe until much later, where it became an indispensable tool for the maritime navigation. Further, the European were the great navigators. Okay, the Spanish, the Portuguese, the British, the French, the German, the Polish, the Dutch. They discovered lots of places of the world, the South America, okay, the Asians, various countries, African various countries, North American countries were discovered by this navigator with the help of the compass. So, but who were the first, those who used the compass and utilized the magnetic behavior of the earth? Chinese. Okay, but इन्होंने ज़्यादा एक्सप्लोर किया यूरोपियंस ने और स्टडी करनी शुरू की, क्योंकि ये वॉयजर थे, इन्होंने यात्रा शुरू की. देन आई हैड कोटेड हियर द पेरिग्रिनिश हु इज क्रेडिटेड with producing the first scientific work devoted to magnetism. Based on the scientific experiment, he come with some certain conclusion and discovering the magnetic meridians. Okay, what it discovered? The magnetic meridians, the dipolar nature of the magnet. So what he discovered? He discovered that the earth behave like a dipole, the earth having two poles. Okay, the earth having two poles, and the lines which join the pole is known as magnetic meridians. अभी आप जब अर्थ की स्टडी करते हो, when you study the earth, for the simplicity of the study of earth, we also draw a vertical line like that. ऐसा लाइन आपने देखा है? इमेजिनरी लाइन क्या कहते हैं इसे? Okay, this is longitude, and the longitude which crosses through the Greenwich, what it is known as, इसको क्या बोलते हैं? इसको बोलते हैं प्राइम मेरिडियन. प्राइम मेरिडियन बोलते हैं, नहीं? Why prime? Prime means first. It is the first meridian, means this line is known as meridian. This line is known as meridian. Here we connect the geographical pole to the geographical pole. Here we connect the magnetic poles. So this meridian is a line which joins the two poles. Getting my point? Okay, so this longitude are also known as meridians. Okay, now this is the magnetic meridian. Who studied the magnetic meridian first? Peregrinus. He was the first scientist, geophysicist who discovered the polarity within the earth. The earth behave like a dipole, and he came on the conclusion that he discovered the magnetic meridian. He connect one pole to another. The line joining two poles are known as magnetic meridian. Okay, what we are learning here? The history, how the magnetic properties of the earth discovered by the geophysicists. Now, when you look at the Gilbert studies, I had already quoted the Gilbert. Okay, placed the source of magnetism within the earth in 1600. He was the physician of Queen Elizabeth I. but the temporal variations is also observed in the magnetic field. That temporal variation in physics is known as secular variation. अब यहाँ पर पॉलिटी नहीं अप्लाई करना है, सेक्युलर वेरिएशन आ गया तो बोला धर्मनिरपेक्ष कोई ऐसा, इसका कोई भी रिलीजन से लेना नहीं है. What the meaning here in the physics of the secular variation? The shifting of polarity, okay, the field, the magnetic field with time, temporal variation है. टाइम के साथ मैग्नेटिक फील्ड का वेरिएशन होता है, तो उसके लिए एक और वर्ड फिजिक्स में यूज करते हैं मैग्नेटिज्म के अंदर. क्या वर्ड है वो? सेक्युलर वेरिएशन. सो इफ दिस वर्ड इज अपीयर इन एग्जामिनेशन, सेक्युलर वेरिएशन, nothing to do with the religion. Here the secular variation means the shifting of the magnetic field with time. Time के साथ magnetic field shift करता है. And who studied this? The Gilbert studied these ideas. Okay. But उन्होंने document नहीं किया. उनको स्टडी में पता लगा, but he never talk about, because उन्होंने जब कहना शुरू किया तो no one is ready to accept it. बोला पागल हो गया है कुछ. ऐसे ही जब साइंटिस्ट बात करते हैं तो उस जनरेशन को समझ नहीं आता है. फिर उन्होंने कहा कि लोग पागल डिक्लेयर कर देंगे, खाना पीना चल रहा है, फिजिशियन हूँ और भी नहीं मिलेगा, ठीक है ना. तो फिर उन्होंने अपनी बातें समझाने की कोशिश की, कोई सुना नहीं. 17th सेंचुरी व्हेन हेनरी गिलब्रांड appreciate the difference among the repeated measurement were not just inaccuracy in the observation. He was the first who started measuring what the magnetic behavior of the earth, and what he observed, that magnetic field shift with the time, means polarity changes with the time. And he was the first, Henry was the first who quoted, who wrote about the idea of the shifting of the magnetic pole in the 17th century. Okay, middle of the 17th century he wrote the ideas. In 1600 the Gilbert has discussed these things, but when he tried to say that the polarity change, the magnetic field change with the time, no one accept his idea. यहाँ से accept किया हेनरी के आइडियाज़ के बाद. और देखो एडमंड हैले, इन्हीं के नाम पर एक कमेट भी है, हैले कमेट का नाम है, आप पढ़ोगे या देखोगे. इन 1680 एडमंड हैले, इनके नाम पर मैंने क्या कहा, कमेट का भी नाम है. ओके, पब्लिश द फर्स्ट कॉन्टूर मैप ऑफ द जियोमैग्नेटिक वेरिएशन. वर्ल्ड का मैप बनाया और उस वर्ल्ड के मैप के ऊपर उन्होंने वेरिएशन दिखाया कि देखो नॉर्थ अमेरिका में पोलैरिटी कहाँ थी, ये पोलैरिटी कैसे शिफ्ट किया है. सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल ही ड्रॉ द मैप, द कॉन्टूर मैप ऑफ द वर्ल्ड, and he shows on that map how the polarity shifted. Who was the first person who shows on the map how the polarity shifted? The Halley. What I am discussing right now, the history of the genesis of the ideas of geomagnetism. So what you have to keep in mind, the study begins, the scientific study begins in the 1600 by the Gilbert. The first documented idea we have of the Gilbert's idea, but later other ones also contributed. Okay, the Petrus contributed, the Gilbert contributed, the Halley contributed. Okay, so there are lots of geophysicists has contributed, and today we came to conclusion on different ideas. Okay, so what he talk about? He talk about the three important feature of the Earth's magnetism. He talk about declination. Okay, he talk about inclination. He talk about magnetic field. So the Halley was the first person who talk about the basics, characteristics, feature of magnetism of the earth on basis of the scientific ideas. Okay, further I will also discuss. And he was the first person who tried to discuss the dynamo effect of the earth, how the earth behave like a dynamo, and this dynamo creates what, the geomagnetic property. ओके फर्दर द गॉश, आप लोगों ने गॉश थ्योरम पढ़ा होगा, ठीक है ना, ओके, इन इलेक्ट्रिसिटी एज वेल इन मैग्नेटिज्म. सो गॉस ऑल्सो कॉन्ट्रीब्यूटेड, ही मेजर द मैग्नेटिक फील्ड. फिजिक्स में जिनके फिजिक्स रही होगी +2 में, सो दे लर्न द मैग्नेटिज्म, they also learn the Gauss's principle. Okay, so there are various principle in physics. So he was the first who started measuring the magnetic field. उन्होंने magnetic field और magnetic behavior को measure करना start किया. The Gauss's principles, okay, applied. Now the idea of genesis, how and why the earth acquire the magnetic property. Okay.